What is up? Workbringer here, and today is Tyrannical Week, and I'm actually going to upload a video from the current week, which some people have requested, and that's going to be happening more and more, because I'm actually slowing down. So this whole week, because it's Tyrannical, and I don't feel like pushing keys with Tyrannical Necrotic, I have done 114. I got a 226 weapon from the vault, so that's pretty nice. Need to do some enchanting. Still have a terrible blood spattered scale, and also a terrible cheat death trinket. However, both of those are still my best trinkets, even though they're super low. But I will keep farming, and I'll get better ones. But however, gear isn't super my limit at this point, so we're going to do my only key here. It is a 14 Halls of Atonement, and yeah, this and Mists are pretty much the easiest one. I will say that I am playing this a bit timid, and that's because it's my only key of the week. And I'm not all that familiar with what I'm supposed to be doing. I literally have only run this, and I think like 2 others or something like that. I like helped my guild run some like low keys, like a 7 or 9 or something like that. And so yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. If compared to like, if I had run 10 14s this week, I would pretty much have my strategy. But you'll see that to clear my stacks of Necrotic, I already used Bubble. Probably not the move. Probably should have used Bop out of the gate or Kieran File. That was a mistake. But again, I've been playing a bit of some other classes on my alt, which I have not shown on this channel yet, but I do have an alt, so something to look forward to. A good jumping off point of reference for a tank. It is a tank off spec, so you might guess what it is. But I really wanted to understand this other spec as much as I could. So I have been leveling that up to plus 10s already, actually. But here we are in Prot Paladin world, and I really like Prot Paladin. I mean, I always have, but after watching the MDI, I had some thoughts. I was like, man, there's no Prot Pals out here. And I was like, man, am I playing like the worst class ever or something like that? And I'm not. Here goes my Necrotic stacked at 44, but I'm not afraid of the Groundskeepers, like not an issue. We have Binding Shot and Ursals. So given this extremely good amount of CC, I just didn't know, like if I knew these people, you know what I mean? Like it's hard in high keys to know, like, oh, should I triple pull out of the gate? I just don't know. But clearly with the Binding Shot and with the Ursal's Vortex, I could have easily pulled this whole thing in 2 pulls, but it's more than 2 pulls. I just don't know the people. That's why I'm still slowly trying to put together like a consistent group. There's a couple Fire Mages I run with, there's a couple Holy Paladins, but we're never all on. And a lot of people are prioritizing, there's the Hodge, nope. A lot of people prioritize raiding, which I guess I get. I really don't. I moved my other alt to Sargeras, and I'm actively looking for a Mythic Plus pretty much only guild. It's like, we'll raid for gear, which is terrible for gear. But Mythic Plus and PvP are my thing, and like I only really need the Cheat Death Trinket, and I guess if I start pushing Mythic Sire, which I don't really care to spend my time doing, 233 weapons are pretty awesome, right? But anyway, if I had known this group was such ballers in the CC department, I will say, in the CC department, I could have pulled more. But that being said, what we lack is a Fire Mage. Okay, we lack a Fire Mage, and there's no issues in this group, but I think the lead and their friend, who I think is the Resto Druid and the Warlock, I believe they're friends, are not English speaking either. So in the beginning, there was just like, I tried to say a couple of things, and there was no real response, and then some Spanish or Portuguese. So just, just with the language, slight tiny language barrier there, like everyone plays the game the same. It doesn't matter like what language you speak, obviously. But I asked if they had trees, and they didn't respond, right? The balance, and yeah, just didn't feel confident about like triple pulling out of the gate. But if it's the groups that sometimes I do run with, it's like, yeah, we quad pulled this whole thing, and you lust and combust everything down together. On this group, I just didn't feel that confident, so hence my very, very slow play here. So apologize. The timing of this video, this is actually going to come out today, and this is the day that I recorded it, so it is a recent key. I'm going to be doing more of those because, like I've said, on my Paladin, I'm just going to be doing, my only real goals for this Prot Paladin are to 15 all the dungeons, and I need to like slow it down because I'm going to hit that goal too quickly. But I'm just going to push 15s like, every once in a while. and I won't have the bank of videos like I had getting to this point. You know, I recorded like 5 a day and queued them out 1 a day. I just had so many, but it's really slowing quite a bit down, and I'm really just going to be mindfully doing some 15s. And really, ideally, what I'd like to be able to do is with a consistent group is the thing, because pugging 15s, it's like, well, let's pull 5 packs and see how it goes. That's not good. That doesn't normally go well unless it's like a guild group. And then honestly, for that, not for like your pug 15, but for like my like timing it confidently, like +2ing kind of thing, you need Discord. You need to be like, okay, you're interrupting this, right? Because if you pull 3 packs, there's probably about 2 or 3 at least must interrupts. Even within this little pack, there's a couple must interrupts here, because the damage gets pretty big, even though this is tyrannical. The trash is not so hefty. You know, you still are gonna need some interrupts labeled, and then just, you know, when things go a little sideways, or like if I'm kiting, right? I'm getting to 30 stacks here. I realize that's why I die here, so I'm not smart. But again, I have not been running a lot of Necrotic on this tune, and I remember this. I didn't realize I was at 35 stacks until it was too late. Wait a minute, do the stacks drop here? They should drop. They should drop. Okay, they drop. Okay, never mind. But a little bit too much damage. I should have walked away a long time ago. So that's probably my fault in this whole thing. Do I die? I forget if I like full wipe on this or not. Oh no, I waste bubble. Okay, so I guess does that count as a death? It probably did. Anyway, I wasted bubble there, which is pretty sad, which means I cannot confidently double pull this. So I would normally take these 2 and then give them some aggro, and then run downstairs and Repentance the Houndsmaster and just take the Gargons. Though I'm not really trying to bolster the Gargons because they just wreck you so bad. If those Gargons get big, you don't even attempt to like do anything. You literally just run. I think everyone gets that in this key. But that being said, I'm at 17, so check this out, right? This is slow, and we barely time this key. My goodness. I don't think it can get any closer. We're going to use that full timer, so buckle up. That's what's going on here. This is slow. This was weak. You know, so I had to blow bubble, right? Okay, so I had bubble, and I had to use it to not wipe, because full wiping is slower than this, and it feels worse, because if I die, there's a good chance that everyone dies to Halkia, so that was my choice. Doesn't feel good, but it is what it is. So we're going to get Pride up here, and given my route, if you isolate the Houndsmaster, you get Pride here. However, if I had Bubble, and I could have cleared my Necrotic stacks, I could have face-tanked some Gargons and Pride, right? It should be fine. With Bubble, it would to at least clear the stacks. And I had Bop, but anyway, I felt timid, you know, given my gear level, which you saw in the beginning of the video, I believe. We pull this, she either de-aggroes or we pull her in. Either way, it's gonna be fine. She does no damage. Oh, there's an ice trap that I probably immediately break. She's not doing much raid damage, I don't think. She does do like a jump back and like kind of an AoE, but she's not the damage. It's the Gargons, right? So we have Pride, and if it isn't clear already, we do not have a Venthyr, so that's a super rip. On my ult, I'm Venthyr, so I get to pull all the Gargons in, and we get to do big pulls in Sanguine Depths and Halls no matter what. It is awesome. However, I will say that on my other character, if I tried to face tank half as much as I do here, I would be one shot. I have like 5 cheat deaths on that character, but still, I would be uber dead. Whereas a Prop Paladin, actually, as long as you're in your Consecration and your Mitigations up, just Shield of the Righteous, really, you can actually eat a surprising amount of these attacks. Again, on a Tyrannical, right? Fortified 14, you don't go anywhere near. Even this is just, why would you? Why even take those hits to the back? That's sloppy. So we don't have a Venthyr, and this is, check this out, ready? I cautiously pull this, and as I do, someone body pulls the Gargon, because it's really easy to pull this Gargon, and like every reasonable group that's pushing high keys to this should bring a Venthyr. Like, come on, really? Like, what? So there's no Venthyr. That's terrible. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that there are some misplays by my part, for sure. Burning bubble too quickly, not great. But this is a body pull, so it's extra. However, I know how to mitigate. I know how to change the route to make up for this, because I've had it happen so many times. Not necessarily this, but just extra packs get pulled, and in halls, I know how to fix it. I know how to course correct. But, you know, normally we would have an event there, and you would take this, and you would triple pull, or something like that. If I didn't pull just the 2 casters, we would have wiped to Shard of Halkias, there's no question. But pro tip there, if you avenge your shield just the front 2, you can isolate them. So all of these things are safe, but they're not fast, right? This group, this route, on a 15, even without the body pull, even without the 3 deaths, we would not have timed it. And so what's a little bit at play at the moment is that I don't know the group. I don't know what utility I can rely on. It turns out that they're very good. We don't have treants. That would be helpful. So I don't feel comfortable triple pulling because it's necrotic, and I have file, I have bot macro, which cancels it, and I have divine shield, and those are my only ways of canceling out necrotic. And so I just didn't know. So if the same group again, I would definitely be more adventurous with the big pulls. And you'll see that on the videos that come out after this in my 14s, is that you have to start doing big pulls or you don't time it. So I am so used to pulling that Stoneborn in, and it's going to make the boss even harder. But I'm going to Repentance that one. Again, this is slower. This is slower, but there's a reason. So the reason I'm doing this is because, one, I don't want the Gargons to enrage. I just don't want that as a mechanic. My necrotic stacks are going up faster than my jagged swipe bear stacks. Actually, the stacks cleared for the bear. Did I already clear? No, there they are. Okay. But basically, because we're over count, we're going to have an extremely sketchy pride timing, right? We're already at 59, and I'm spamming my macro kill evenly, right? So if we had the Houndsmaster, she would still be here, potentially enraging the Gargons, and be bolstered like crazy. Like, she's probably the last one to die because she jumps around so much. So it's slower, but it's my call to essentially alter the route and take her out of the equation. So this is why Repentance, in my opinion, as a tank in a pug where you don't know what's gonna happen, is very important. And I'm gonna pull her in because we really need this pride for the boss. This is a tyrannical week. We want all the pride, all the lust on the bosses. And I did talk to the hunter, who was English speaking, so for me that works. Hodge her, just slow her down just a little bit here. And we're basically saving lust just for the second boss. I'm like, don't worry about Shard of Halkias, or don't worry about Halkias. If we wiped a Halkias, it's because we're bad. It's not because of damage, right? This damage in this group is pretty good. It's okay. It's you know, for a 14 without a fire mage, like, instead of that warlock, I hate to be this meta person because, like, it doesn't matter if you play the game on a 14's not like massively challenging, right? Like, if you play the game and you play your spec right, there's some convoke damage. Oh my goodness, there it is. There's the balanced druid meta right there. As to talk about not being into the meta specs, but look at that balanced druid convoking. Like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And no, the warlock's doing respectable too. But basically, if we had balance and fire, the trash would have melted faster. And the bosses probably also would have melted pretty quickly. So, I mean, it's fine. This comp is fine. It's just like, it's just easier sometimes with other classes, and so I'll be comparing tank classes relatively soon as well. But again, on a 14, if you just don't die, right? You just don't fully wipe on a boss. Like, if we wipe on this boss, the key's over, right? Obviously. So what I'm doing is I'm starting to stack. Right, the convoke window's open, so we can move a little bit again. If I had to move the balance druid during convoke, we would have wiped. Or not wiped, it would have taken a long time. So while he's convoking, I just stand still. However, we're out of that window now, and so I'm pulling him out for our second phase. You see me looking at the Gargon, that's what I'm looking at, or the Gargoyle, right? Normally, of course, we would have brought him in, if not both Gargoyles, and this boss would have been dead probably by now, to be honest. It's a huge increase of damage, especially during Lust, if he doesn't get affected by it. But what I'm doing here is, now if you've ever tanked Sludge Fist, this is a bit of a Sludge Fist here. I'm going to find this little area where I'm taking a little bit of damage, but I'm going to stack the shard, the slam, bam, stack it, heal it up. I'm going to live it completely fine. We just want to not have too much of that stuff. So this expansion in the raid, in the Mythic Plus, is a lot of it is about red stuff on the floor, right? It's a very Venthyr dominated expansion, of course, with the raid. So honestly, this Sludge Fist has helped me a lot with this boss, right? You just stack it all up. DPS is low. If we had a Venthyr in the group, we'd probably be a minute ahead of this, because I could have pulled 2 trash packs. We would have had Gargons. If not 3, honestly, I would have had 3 trash packs for Gargons. We could have combined pulls. I wouldn't have to repentance safety things. And we would have had at least 1 Gargon for Halkias. And we would have had at least 1 Gargoyle for the third boss. I forget her name. This is where my legendary comes from. Anyway, out of an abundance of caution in here, because someone body pulled, I don't want to freak people out. Okay, so I'm being overly safe, right? I know how to triple pull this place. I can triple pull this. All these pulls I'm going to do here, I know how to do safely at once. So you see that patrol over there? I can take both. All you have to do is interrupt the Stoneborn Reaver when he does turn to stone. That, interrupt. And the Gargoyle, the big Gargoyle, you have to make sure not to pull anything else. When he does the forward slash, you want to make sure, or the powerful slash, we'll see in a second, you just make sure that it's not facing anyone else. I gotta run out for Necrotic here, right? Oh, I shouldn't have run back. Oh, he's gonna get me. He's gonna get me. There we go, perfect. You gotta interrupt this guy, and you need to just basically, you can just walk backwards really slowly away from the powerful swipe, and make sure it doesn't face the raid. And then you just cleave down those little ones, right? So there's gonna be a lot. The main issue would have been that there would be a lot of Necrotic, and I'm only getting Divine Shield back now. However, these pulls that I just did there, which are pretty quick, pretty reasonable, you can easily pull them all together. On Necrotic, it's a little spicy. I try to dodge it. You can dodge that by just moving backwards, but based on where people were standing, I did not have a great place to do that, so yeah. Anyway, you can pull all this at once, or you can get count downstairs and with a rogue skip the whole thing. I don't find in Pugs that that's very good, because people are unsure of the Shroud route, because it's important. So this is the safe way, right? Just kill them all really slowly, and with Necrotic, you know, it can be a little spicy. So luckily, everyone here is a gamer. Everyone knows what we're doing here, the name of the game. I'm going to pull the one. Everyone knows to run right up here, right? I was doing on my other alts, like just lower keys of this, and people have no idea what to do. They have no, they'll start fight. Okay, I should have dodged that. You can dodge that really easily. People will start like pulling things in the other, like downstairs. Like they see us run up the stairs and I pull a gargoyle and they're like, oh no, it's time to pull everything. And they pull the whole downstairs courtyard on like a 5 or something like that. It's like, oh boy. But luckily everyone here, right, you just back up. Like you don't even have to LOS it. You just literally slowly back up. Not even sidestep, like, you know what I mean? Like walk sideways, like you just literally go backwards slowly. Anyway, the whole dungeon has been leading up to this boss, because this boss is an oof on a Tyrannical 14. I don't care what you say. This boss is hard. This boss is real hard, and Convoke went off on Halkias, which is good, because they melted Halkias without Lust, right? And without a Gargoyle, right? This is the boss that you typically will always fight, a lot of the times without Lust, and a lot of the times, you could get a Gargoyle for this. It's kind of sketchy, but you won't have a Gargoyle or Lust, because you have used that. Well, you can't get a Gargoyle very easily without some like weird trash skippy things, and yeah, you've used Lust already. So on this one, we do elect to just not Lust anything. I tell them I'm not like quad pulling anything that needs to die super hard. The whole dungeon is this boss. It's this boss, and we do a pretty good job. So we're gonna pull him in. I can't fly like in my other class, so I have to run back slowly. Lust and Pride, and Balanced Druid doing a nice 18k burst window here. I'm gonna Divine Toll to bring these in. Yep, boom, nice, very clean. Hunter uses Wild Spirits to burst them down. Clean first phase with Lust and Pride, and we're gonna drop the stone on there. I never know if I'm supposed to leave, but sometimes I don't think I'm supposed to. Sometimes I'll get the actual circle, so I actually don't run out. My brain's too small to process if I'm the one with turn to stone, so I just stand like I always have it, and I generally don't die. to that at all. I die normally if all those ads are on me and someone else is getting aggro and the healer has to put attention on them. That's the main issue. So here's the beauty of an all ranged comp, which again is unfortunately the meta in many cases, is the pools are very controlled, right? There's no Unholy DK or Rogue like dropping the pool off right on the boss. So I never have to move. It's quite nice. I forget what goes wrong here. Did I not have aggro? I don't remember. I don't know how that person died. I might not have had aggro long enough or quick enough. I have Divine Toll now. And Ursol's is pretty good. That's going to get them all together. And we do get them all down. Do we get them all down? Nice. Okay, good. So they're not going to get... Oh, no, they get them. They get them. Okay, cool. And all the ads, again, dead. So perfect execution so far. And all ranged comp, again, I just have to sit in the middle. If there's one melee, you're going to have to move them. And it gets sketchy. So dropping off the pools on the sides on a Tyrannical 14 is a must, because you end up tanking it in the blood, right? Right, plenty of room to go gather these up. Over here, did I just Divine Shield? I think I might have just Divine Shielded to keep some of this damage at bay. Doesn't look like we're gonna get them all on this round, but we definitely will next time, right? Okay, yeah, now they're all dead, and we'll just do another one right here. So, that's Avenging Wrath, big heals. Big bursty on-demand prop paladin heals. Let me tell you, on my other class, no such mechanic. There is no way to recover yourself. You can mitigate for a very long time, but you are 100% reliant on the healer. Prop paladin, from what I've seen, if I get to 226 or 229, which is I believe the highest eye level you can get, if you have like mythic everything and like 233 weapons, prop paladin. And I'm quite proud of this. If you handle the protector, I see that people are not even running a healer, they just run a prop pal because the heals are that strong, right? So this is like the big difference, right? I don't know if that's going to carry you into 25s or 30s. The other tank might be the play there with like a Resto Shaman. But 15s, when I'm fully geared, I can carry a 15 group, right? And I think that's what like most people care about. That's really what I care about. I'm pretty sure when I'm fully geared and we have like a reasonable group, reasonable, that I'll be able to basically just heal heal the party quite a bit. Like run it like how I run like, a +5 on this character. I just sit there, I never die, there's no threat of dying, face tank the whole instance, and just help heal. Okay, so we're gonna pull these together just as they die, so no bolstering. You don't really bolster that, but again, this saves a tiny bit of time, and if you look at the timer, we're tight. 8 is sketchy, and we've only died 4 times, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the blame that I'm being too safe. I have been too safe in this dungeon. I've only died once, and it was to Shard of Halkias, which is kind of a weird place to die. I'd have to... Not sure... Oh, okay. Yeah, so my misplay so far of dying has been that I let my stacks get to 30 on Shard of Halkias, and that's very stressful for the healer, right? They did eventually drop, but I didn't drop Necrotic stacks fast enough. I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest. I was tunneling Halkias there. There's 3 casters that I'm watching plus Halkias. Anyway, excuses, but I let myself get too much Necrotic, and that stressed the healer, and then we died. So that's a big misplay. The other thing is that I'm just pulling too slowly. And again, part of it, as I've explained, I just don't... Okay, everyone's a gamer here. Sometimes people pull the Gargons, okay? But everyone ran perfectly up the center. Actually, the Hunter's still there, so I think that marker's still good for the Hunter. Anyway, a body pull would be tragedy to this key. It would be over. If someone... I'll just say it now, because you can look at this timer. If someone pulls that Gargon, it's over. Me waiting 2 or 3 seconds to put the marker down so to make sure that no one does... Worth it, in my opinion. People are not kicking Volley of Power. That goes off quite a bit. But one misplay by me, letting my Necrotic stacks get too high. Not great. Pulling a little bit too conservatively, a little too slowly. But I don't want to wipe full party wipe on Pride. So you saw my isolation pulls with Repentance. Those are my calls. We have not wiped. However, we are hurting for time. And I will say that the other thing is that, again, we have no Gargoyles. We can't bring in any Loyal Stoneborns because there's no event there, so that's pretty tough on a Tyrannical, where you'd want to, like, triple pull trash, double pull trash, just crush them down. and of course you can use a gargoyle and Halkias. So all those things together, from what I'm seeing, make this somewhat of a challenging key. And that's fortified. I'm sorry, that's tyrannical. And again, I'm not really running any 15s. A couple of my friends are they're like, yeah, they're crushing 15s. And I'm just like, you know, I'll super crush them next week. Like, there's basically no difference between a 14 and a 15, and I guess that's true for all of them. But I mean, as far as strat, you just kind of want to start combining things a little bit more, you know, confidently. You really want to combine the pulls together. And, you know, you gotta wait for the 1200 IO DPS, right? And it's not even so much like the gear, that's a given. And that they have to know how to play their class and know how to do a convoke opener, etc. It's more just the experience of knowing where in the dungeon to use it, and then where to use your party utility. If you're a hunter, when do you binding shot? If you're a balance drill, when do you trees? You know, like that's the stuff that makes the runs happen, right? And I actually did a +7. The only other key I've done this week on this character is something like a +7 Spires, and so it's like, you know, pretty low group, but and guildy alts, I think. But let me tell you, they used all their utility. Treants were coming out, elemental was coming out, and again, it was a necrotic 7, so I can still die, or at least stress out the healer to like an absurd amount. But they were using all the utility perfectly, because again, they're like probably all like 1500 IO or something like that mains. And so their alts, even though they're lower gear, DPS is not good necessarily, but their utility use was like really, really good. So this room, because we have a balanced druid, oh, the druid is drinking. Okay, so I didn't see the call for mana, but if I had stopped to let the druid get mana, we would not have timed this. So that's the play. Sorry, druids. Of all the classes, though, druids can get their mana back, and then I think shamans have like mana tide totem. I don't know. I basically don't stop for healers. That's not how Mythic Plus works. That's not how it works out here, generally, and I think they know that. Looks like I have Divine Shielded at this point. Star Surge, Balanced Druid meta. My goodness, in this key. Balanced Druid pulling 18k single target, and then pulling like confident, like, you know, 15 to 10k. Look at the damage that they put out. They melt this whole room. This key is carried by this Balanced Druid. Let's just be absolutely real. It's being carried by the Balanced Druid. Everyone else is doing their part, but they're doing their extra part. So thank you, Balanced Druid, for making this key possible. My only Tyrannical 14 key of the week. I don't want to do anymore on this character anyway. At the higher ones, it's just too much. I really want a consistent group too, because it's just like, you know, more fun. And I would say the stress of Pug 15s and 14s, that's a little higher to some degree. There's a couple people I run with consistently. It's just not a full group. Like, I'll have like one DPS person that I'll bring in, or one healer, but like you really need a 5, obviously. You need a group of 5 that kind of know each other's utility and DPS level, right? Like, so if, you know, for me this week, I'm like, oh, I got an extra 226 weapon, right? And like, if that same thing happens to the DPS, it's like, oh, cool, so we could expect like, you know, 500 more DPS or something. I don't know how that works out, but you would know, you'd be able to measure it. Versus like all these pugs, I have no idea. I just generally look at IO and then generally look at, like, I kind of generally know what DPS to expect, single target from them. And then if it's a Marks or Fire Mage, when they combust, I'm gonna lose aggro to them in a pack. Whoever they decided to single target out, they're gonna rip that threat for me almost no matter what. With like Lust or something, like Lust Time Warp, or Pride, you know, doing Pride trash pulls for a fortified week. But that's future goals here. If you've been following, do I get hit by this? Oh, I'm such a noob. You should never get hit by that. You should never get hit by that as the tank. It's like such a DPS loss if there's any melee. And we need the DPS. You would think it's, oh, you can take one hit. Not when you only have 1 minute 50 to kill this boss. So rip. Luckily we had Lust back, so that's also it. It's just everyone doing their part. I didn't call Lust, they just knew. I mean, that seems obvious, but the lower keys people don't Lust the entire dungeon, which is rip. Everyone does their part here, and it all contributes to this key. I would say that I'm the heavy. I feel like I'm the heavy, and unfortunately, I feel like I'm the heavy a lot on 14-15s. I feel like I'm the slow one as a paladin, and again, it's just like, but at the same time, if you like run in and 4-pull something and wipe the whole group, it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? But like at the same time, then it's like, you kind of have to do that though. So it's the trickier part. As I get closer and closer to like 226, ooh, someone let that go off too long. Hunter. Yeah, that I can be a little bit more buffer, you know, and it depends on the affects. But you do have to pull some plays as the tank on the 40-15 to time them. And looking back at this, I'm the heavy. I let Necrotic kill me and almost full wipe the party, right? Pretty bad tank move there. And just very timidly attacking these groups, and it does cost us time here and there, and that does accumulate minutes, right? And is why this is so ridiculously tight. So we've got about 12% left, 20 seconds. It can be done. It's not easy, but it can be done. So I'm gonna just try to put, no, I'm still gonna Word of Glory. I should have just sat there and smacked him and eaten that red circle. Maybe, I don't know. Wild Spirits at the end, and we get it. Can you get any closer? I'm not sure. Everyone's like, you know, obviously happy and relieved to have timed it. Though honestly, like, I don't think anyone's getting, I'm not getting IO from this. I don't think anyone here is getting IO, but it just feels good to time it, of course. But even if we didn't, it's like, I don't know, I'd assume like everyone else, this is like a guaranteed 226 in the grade fault. That's all I wanted. Just one. I'm not going to go do more for the week. It's already the end of the week for me. Reset's coming up. And that's my weekly key on my Protection Paladin. Next week, might be going for a 15 here or there. No rush. And I'll see you on the next video.